There are moments in life when everything you thought would save you suddenly disappears, and you have to decide whether you will keep existing or find a way to live again. Dianette Wells has spent much of her life climbing mountains, chasing adventure, and listening closely to the quiet pull that told her there was more waiting beyond the life she was handed. In this conversation, Dianette shares how adventure became both her grounding force and her grief language after the loss of her son, and how movement and presence and choice help her find a way back to the world. This is a story about resilience without bravado, grief without a roadmap, and what it means to keep choosing life even when it no longer sparkles the way that it once did.
I literally felt disconnected from the planet. I was like, whoa, it was a physical sensation. It kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, no, this is not how I want to live. I'm tired of existing. I want to live.
You're listening to the Life Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Gilhooly. This show is built around one simple idea, that sometimes a single moment can change how we see everything. Each week, I talk with someone about the moment that shifted their life and how they learned to live differently after it. These are not stories about having it all figured out. They are stories about what it looks like to keep going once the story changes. Thank you for being here. Here's today's story. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Life Shift Podcast. I am here with Dianette. Hello there.
Hi.
Thank you for wanting to be a part of the Life Shift Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
You don't know what you got yourself into, so I am so honored to have this show. So going into 2026, how does Dianette show up in the world? Like, how do you identify these days? Like, what's your vibe?
Well, I'm a grandma, so I'm a grandma vibe. I just got an amazing job offer. So, and that just happened today. So I'm very excited. And I would say 2026, I want it to be about, adventure. And as I've been saying for the last few years, I just say yes to everything. And unless it's illegal or immoral, there are some boundaries and standards, very few, but there are some. Yeah, just, I have a deep appreciation for life and living it to its fullest. And especially as I get a little bit older and, I want to do as much as I can while I can. And, as far as, my son, I want to meet up with him again and him saying, yeah, you live the hell out of that life, good for you. Yeah, I don't just want to sit around and, not do anything. I want to have fun.
Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. I think that, you have the adventure spirit because of what you've done in your past as well. So it kind of makes sense to me and that you want to keep going. But I'd love for you to paint that picture of your life leading up to the main pivotal moment, fully understanding that we all don't just have one life shift in our lives and there are lots of things along the way. But paint who this before Dianette version was so that we can understand the current.
Well, the pivots in life, I think we all have many. It's turn right, turn left. Which route are you going to go? And that's what's fun about life. And that, we can be having the absolute worst day of our life and thinking, what is the point? What does this all mean? And a phone call or an email can change everything. When you're in that low, just hang there for a minute. Like, that call or email is coming and things will change, or you throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. But my life was, I grew up in La Mirada, California, very flat. I could see the mountains of Big Bear from my backyard. I could see the snow on it. And I just knew that I didn't belong there, that I was meant for something else. Yeah, I knew from a very early age. And yeah, when I turned, let's see.
Was it a family thing or was it a location thing for you? Like, was it?
Family and location. Knew I didn't belong in La Mirada. I knew that something bigger was out there for me. Not a good childhood. Yeah, once I turned 18, I was still in high school. I moved out. My mom had a rough, 2 marriages that, weren't good for her. And I vowed to never make that mistake.
You weren't the only one.
I was just, young and feisty. I went to college, met my husband, and right away had, 3 kids when I was still young. But and I'm living this beautiful life in, Malibu. Can't get much better than that. But I still felt like constrained. I needed something. And then I had climbed a mountain with 10 of my girlfriends. That was pivotal. That was, I would say almost that was big moment pivot number one, which, blew the doors off my life. And I wanted more of that.
Was that, I was curious because you said you climbed a mountain with your friends. A lot of listeners, and myself included, is that a fun little climb? Like you went for a hike with your friends, or was this like a serious, you climbed a mountain with your friends with equipment and camping and all the stuff that comes along with it?
So it's a hike. For me, I use it as a training day. I try to do it once a year just to see where my fitness is, but it kills people. I mean, they just got a body off today. It's Mount Whitney. It's a climb. I mean, for some people, they'll say it's the hardest day of their life.
Okay. So this was legit. This wasn't like a girls trip to the mountains and you just like climbed.
But someone ended up in the hospital. I mean,
it was a real climb.
It was a climb. It was a little bit of a shit show for a minute there, but everyone ended up safe and good and accounted for. But it was a moment that it's like I wanted more. 50 feet from the summit, and I could see the little cabin on the summit. And I don't know what came over me, but I just knew, oh, I want more of this. Whatever this is, I'd never experienced it before, but I wanted more. And so the following year, I climbed Kilimanjaro, and it was so wild on, I don't know, night 2 or 3 or 4. I had this weird sensation of everything is right in the world. This is where I'm supposed to be at this moment. And I've only felt that a couple of times, but it's a really amazingly odd feeling of, oh, this is all correct right in this moment. Because half the time we walk around going, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? But, our minds are spinning. And no, I was very much at peace and
felt aligned.
The what?
Felt aligned, like you felt aligned with.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I was aligned with my path in the universe.
Yeah. No doubts, no regrets, kind of just that very present. Yeah. Is that a spiritual thing for you or something you experienced before? Or is that more of like just it felt like you were in the right place doing the right thing?
I had never experienced it before. I wasn't super spiritual back then. I was very, I was raised Catholic but so I didn't know what that feeling was. I just knew that, wow, this feels really good. What is this? And so then I found myself chasing that. And I've had it a few times since. And now I am very spiritual. And I think if anything, that was the universe like, okay, this is your path. And, by luck, I kind of took it and ran.
I mean, I love that the way that you said, and then the next year I just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Like it was like old hat for you because, but I'm sure there was a lot of work to go into doing something so serious.
So once I summited Whitney, my next thought was, okay, what's next? What's higher? And I knew nothing about anything technical. I knew not a thing. My ex-husband, he was all in. So we went shopping together for the gear list and he was really helpful about, okay, this gear and that gear. And I think it wouldn't have been as easy if I'd been with someone who like had no interest in that. So he was gung ho. And so we went and did this climb together. He had brought a friend and that friend's girlfriend. And so we had a really fun, great climb. But yeah, that climb, I think the universe telling me that, yeah, this is your path. And, and then divorce and everything else was then, I mean, I think in life, all of us, we think we're on this one path and we know what our future looks like. And then that pivotal moment happens and no, now you're going this way. And it's, okay, pivot, shift. What do we do now? And I just kept on doing sports and climbs. And
Was that like your guiding line, path, light that kept you on track when life was trying to push you in other places? For instance, a divorce can really rattle someone's life. Did you always have that, like, this is my space where I can feel most myself to keep me on track?
living in Malibu, there's this one hike. We always just called it Buzzard's Roost, but there's its real name, I think, is Zuma View Trail or something else. I don't know. My friends and I called it Buzzard's Roost. And that hike I would do every morning. And I would say that, it was my meditation because whatever was rattling around in my head, when I did that hike, I had answers, I had clarity. And that hike is what got me through my divorce, 100%.
So it was kind of like that activity of hiking slash mountaineering in a way. Not that one, I don't know what these look like. I'm
It's just
picturing
a walk. It's
maybe a walk for you.
It doesn't stop going up. Um, I think when my body is in motion, my brain can slow down and just, okay, figure stuff out.
Yeah. Were you an athlete as a kid growing up?
Well, as a Gen X, which is funny because now that I can, with social media and you see online people posting about Gen X, it's like, oh, wait, that was my childhood. And, we left in the morning and had to be home when the streetlights came on. So, I was riding my bike. I was climbing through the storm drains of the city. My friends and I were crazy. I was a cheerleader, but no, was I an athlete? I wouldn't call myself, well, and cheerleading isn't back then what it is now, but I was active, but I would never in a million years have referred to myself as an athlete.
Yeah. The reason I asked that is not so much the physical aspect of it, but you said when you reached the summit of that first mountain, you're like, what's next? What can I do more? And sometimes that feeds in from an athlete's perspective. For me, it was I assigned myself as a perfectionist. So nothing was ever good enough. So it was always like, do good and then the next thing. Did any of that resonate with you, or was it more of a challenge?
I'm definitely a perfectionist. Everything I do, it's okay, the next time we're going to do it this way. Still, even still climbing Whitney, I always think, okay, what could I do better next time? And, that has its good and bad sides to that. But, I'm okay with improving yourself and everything you do as long as it doesn't drive you crazy.
Right. Yeah. And for me, it was more that I just never stopped to celebrate that. It was always just a checklist for me. So were these mountains and these summits, were they checklists for you, or did you celebrate yourself for the accomplishment
Damn,
that
that
you
was
had?
a great question. Oh my gosh. Wow. Hmm. I would, I mean, both. Say, once I had the 7 summits as a goal, one is a checklist. When you come down off the mountain, you're celebrating, but yeah, your mind is on, okay, the next one, the next one. So maybe you don't appreciate it as much as you should. Now, when I go to climb Whitney, I'm definitely appreciative of one, that I can still physically do it, of two, the beauty of this amazing mountain that I have access to, the people who I'm with, usually, I will say 99.99%, usually very funny, fun people. And I appreciate them and I appreciate what we all did together. So yeah, I'm much more appreciative now than I'm sure I was then, where it was just, run up as fast as you can and run down. And I used to try to get to the summit as fast as I could. And the last, I think 3 or 4 times, we now, even if we arrive to the top of the switchbacks in the dark, we stop and wait for that sunrise, because once once you get to the saddle, you're behind the mountain. So you don't get to see the sunrise. So I've been so lucky now to be with people that you just want to sit and wait for the sunrise. And it's the most spectacular, beautiful sunrise that you can imagine. But it's nice to appreciate this beautiful thing that we could have rushed to the,
Right.
been on the backside of the mountain and missed it.
Right. It's less of an accomplishment these days and more of an experience,
Mhm.
would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've done it. You've done all the things. So yeah, take us through. I mean, you just mentioned the 7 summits. You did that. You climbed all sorts of mountains, and this was your life for, well, till now. But what was that inner period to bring us to the harder parts as well?
Oh, I mean, divorce. I flip homes for a living, so I move a lot, which is now becoming exhausting. You know, my son, he too climbed the 7 summits by the
Oh,
time he
wow.
was 17.
With you or
He
separately?
climbed Kilimanjaro with me, and then he did one with a friend, and the rest he did with his dad. So, just it was kind of who's going to go with him for this one. And yeah, and then he took up wingsuiting. Well, he took up base jumping and wingsuiting, and that was the other pivotal moment that you know about. That's what ended up killing him. But yeah, then it took a minute for me to be able to physically go back to what I love doing. And it's you think you're in shape, and then you can't walk around the block. So
Because of the grief and the weight of life around you. Yeah, I mean, you say base jumping and wing, what is it? Wing
wingsuiting.
suiting? I mean, I that just frightens me thinking about it, but it sounds like you raised some adventurous souls, would you say, based on, no? Or one at least?
No, my daughters are adventurous in different ways. I mean, both of them climbed Kilimanjaro as teenagers and, put me to shame. It was embarrassing. But yeah, thankfully, they don't do extreme sports. But yeah, I think Johnny climbed the 7 summits is just kind of a placeholder because he wasn't 18. And, no one's going to let you base jump or jump out of their
Right.
helicopter.
So it was just like for fun.
So I was like, yeah, I'll climb the 7 summits for fun.
No big deal.
He surfed in Nazaret's 40-foot wave just for fun. It was just all these things to do before he could really do what he wanted, which was, to base jump and be a wingsuit pilot.
Yeah. And so was it like a planned event or something that he was doing, or was he just doing this for fun? And
It was always for fun.
okay.
He'd entered a couple of races. I mean, I guess if that's the right term for what they do in wingsuiting, but I think they call them races every now and again. No, he was just doing it for fun.
Yeah. How old was he when the accident happened?
23.
23. Were you very close with him? Like, what was your relationship like with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's I mean, it something like that. Actually, my first question would be, had you experienced death of someone close to you before this? I know having a child.
Parents, friends, my friends' kids have passed. I mean, I'd been through it, but
This was different.
it's always different when it's your own child.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. So this happens, you have to go through the standard response, I think, that we as Americans kind of go through the process, right? The week after, the 2 weeks after, we go through funerals and memorials and people reaching out to us. And then for many of us, it just gets quiet again. Was that kind of the trajectory for you?
Yeah, but I wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had moved to Park City at the time. I'd been in Park City, I think 5 months when he passed. I had moved to Park City because now that I was an empty nester, I was training for the Triple Crown, which was Everest, Lhotse, and Nuptse. I was going to do them in 3 days. I wanted to live in altitude. I wanted to train. My deposit was paid. And then this happened. And it was nice living in a town where I didn't really know anyone. So nobody bothered me. I could just live in anonymity. I could go to the grocery store and no one knew me. We're in Malibu, such a small town. You can't do anything without running into 20 people, So I was really happy that I lived where I didn't know a soul. I knew a few people, but that was much needed. And I found that I could make a Facebook post of the dogs, once a week, and people think, oh, she's doing good. She's walking the dogs. Okay. But yeah, it's, but also, I have so many amazingly great friends that, they didn't just let me disappear and fall through the cracks. I had people visiting, I had people checking in on me, but I really just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah. How did that change your life? Was it, I mean, you had the friends, thankfully, but like, was it just, you just wanted to isolate and shut down, or were you still participating in life?
I just wanted to be left alone. It changed everything. Obviously, I mean, I couldn't go do the Triple Crown. I couldn't walk around the block, much less now I'm going to go climb these mountains. I mean, so that went away. It took, like, it made the world less sparkly. I found nothing. It was weird. I mean, little things. I was at a friend's house for dinner, and the house behind her caught on fire. And so we're standing there watching this. Normally I would have been like, okay, let's go point a hose out and take it out. And emotionally, I couldn't even handle looking at this fire. I had to go home. I couldn't handle anything, any external, anything that was just too much. Couldn't handle it. I left. I went home. I'm like, I can't. I backed out of the Triple Crown. Wouldn't leave my house for a week at a time. I would fill my bird feeder. That did help. But yeah, it changed everything. It took the sparkle off of being on the planet.
Yeah. And it's like you never, I mean, we hope we never have to feel that kind of pain, but then it gets to a point of numbness. It gets to a point of like, you almost don't feel anything because you're in so much pain.
Yeah, totally numb. I was walking my dogs. What changed it for me was I was walking my dogs and I literally felt disconnected from the planet. I was like, whoa, it was a physical sensation. It kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, no, this is not how I want to live. I'm tired of existing. I want to live. I went home. I messaged my friend, Mary Gaddams, and I said, I know you have a race coming up. She's a race director for Racing the Planet. I said, is there any way I can, it was so last minute. I said, can I please get a spot? Is there one left? She's like, absolutely. Boom. I hadn't trained once. I found myself on a plane to Sri Lanka and did an ultra and somehow finished. And yeah,
that woke you up again. It's interesting when you say that and you felt that embodiment of, or being disconnected from the universe, reminded me of what you said about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and the feeling that you felt in the universe kind of centering you again and saying, pay attention. This is important. Whereas that is the other side of it. It's like that, the antithesis of that good feeling. But at the other side, it's like, pay attention because you are drifting off of this earth in a way that is not right for your soul. And you listened.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to tell you what happened, but that's what I hear when you tell me that story. So did it feel like you were trying to pay it, like it was something telling you, like,
I didn't take it that way. I knew that I didn't like, it was just, it scared me. And I knew I couldn't keep going on like that. And, we are here to live. We're not here to exist. Yeah, I wanted to enjoy life again.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it was not anything that you were doing. It wasn't, it just like was this moment in the universe that kind of shook you and you paid attention. And I mean, it was bubbling there, I'm sure, all along that.
Yeah. I mean, deep down we know, hey, this is a quality of life or it's not, but most of the time we can ignore it and just do what we're doing. But yeah, this kind of frightened me a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Did you seek any traditional help getting through this grief journey?
I didn't, because therapists are so expensive. And I thought, God, for 1 hour sitting in a therapist's office, that's a plane ticket somewhere. And a plane ticket somewhere is making a new memory. And so that's what I wanted to do with my money, was buy plane tickets. So I traveled a lot, racing, climbing, anything to make a new memory, a happy memory. And, when you're out on a race course or a climb, you have all those, your brain, my brain just goes through every situation, scenario, how to do this better, what I should have said in this moment, what I should have done. So that for me is my therapy and my
Yeah.
meditation. Um, so
Yeah.
um,
I think
that,
it's a beautiful version though, because you knew what worked for you. You said it before when you went on your hikes that got you through your divorce, being able to sort things through. So you kind of did do a traditional form of therapy for you because that was what had worked before. And the reason I ask that is like so many of the listeners and so many of the people I've talked to, there's not, like you even said, there's no one way to grieve, right? Like we all have to find our own path that works for us. And for me, it was finally finding the right therapist. So it was like I went through 5 of them in my 30s, and it was the one that I clicked with. And she said like a sentence, and I was like, mind blown. And I was like, okay, now it's time to sort through this mess that I've been pushing down for 20 plus years. But then other people I talk to have tried all sorts of like ketamine. They've tried different like trips in the woods, the ayahuasca things. They've tried EMDR. They've tried all sorts of things. And it's amazing to see that. I think growing up, I just felt like there was only one way. Like you just go and talk to someone on a couch and all your problems are solved. And it's not true. We have to find our own path.
and every path is legitimate. It's
Mm-hmm.
what's for you. I have recently done a plant-based medicine journey, and it was profound.
That's what I've heard.
And I'm grateful for it. And I've always been so afraid of that stuff because I grew up past when PCP was a thing, and all I heard was, "Oh, if you do it once, your brain is mush for the rest of your life." And so I've always been really terrified of any hallucinogen or any of that stuff. And I will say it was very beneficial. And I have friends who, are recovering addicts and alcoholics, and they've done it and said it's amazing. And it's not something, that they've become addicted to, or I would, something, I don't think it's an addictive thing. I'm not even sure what it is exactly, but yeah, I probably got, 5 years of therapy out of one session. And so, yeah, whatever, people's, and I've said it myself, I'm not doing this right, because I see other people, they've started a foundation, or, they're so positive and happy, and like, what am I doing wrong? And how come they're handling their child's death better than me? And I realize, you know what? You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and we're all just fighting to live another day and survive the day we're in. And everyone's just trying their hardest, and you just have to give people grace that everyone's trying their best. We are on this spinning globe trying to hold on for dear life and live a good life and have fun. And there is no right or wrong way.
Yeah. I think the hardest part yes, give other people grace, but giving ourselves grace is often sometimes the hardest part. Like you just said, you were kind of almost shaming yourself, like you weren't doing it in the right way. And it's like, nobody should have to prepare for what you went through. And there's no right way to do it. And we have to give ourselves grace that it might take me 20 years. It might take you 2 years, and all of that is okay. And we can't determine that ahead of time. It just happens. So I think that's beautiful. Do you feel like you show up differently in the world now since you've lost your son?
I'm much more empathetic. I used to watch the news and, oh, this person died, or that, and you're like, oh, their family will get over it. Oh, and it's like, now I can barely, when, these kids die, it just kills me, because I just know, oh, that family's life is, never going to be the same. So yeah, it made me much more empathetic.
Yeah. This might be a totally inappropriate question, but I'm curious if losing your son made it easier or harder to be a mother for your other kids at the time.
So I would say, of the two parents, I was the most aware of my daughter's grief. And I also, of all the couples I've seen who've lost kids, which Malibu has lost far more kids than any other town I've ever heard of. It's weird, but the women seem to be the strongest and carry the weight more. And I knew that my daughters were struggling. I tried to be there as best as I could for them, because I think when you just take everything and you focus it on the kid who is not there anymore, what does that tell the living kids? Oh, we don't matter. And so I tried really hard to, because I think too that siblings get lost in the shuffle. We always hear about the parents or, the husband, the wife, but you really don't hear much about the siblings. And for the siblings, it's brutal. It's this person they've been with their entire life. And it's just, the death of a sibling is really, really hard. And I don't think it's addressed enough.
I agree. I have a friend who has a podcast called Grief and Light, and her name is Nina Rodriguez, and she lost her brother, and she tries to talk more about sibling loss and how she still is a sibling, and how, that she's not an only child, and people like to say things, and and it's really hard. And I agree with you that people don't talk about it enough, because it happens. And it's not like we should be talking about it. And the reason I ask you that question is because I think it's real. I think it's real to, as a mother, to feel like you need to take care of all your kids, but obviously you're pulling over here and I need to fix myself, but also my kid. And I think it's a big challenge that none of us are taught how to do. Not that there's a right way, but none of us are taught. Did you talk about that kind of stuff growing up? Like loss and stuff?
No, my mom was a nurse, so she saw loss every day she showed up to work, and she would tell us about these horrible accidents, and you can never ride on a motorcycle because, and so I grew up with, okay, I need to be careful.
Yeah.
And then of course,
you do the opposite, right? Yeah.
But
feelings, grief, did they talk about that, your family?
I went to one funeral when I was a little kid, and it was for an older woman down the street. And at the memorial, people are drinking and eating and laughing. And I thought, what the fuck is this? Why are these people smiling? Like I had no idea what was going on with these people or why they were celebrating. And so I just thought it was weird. And I think I remember one, but there might have been two kids who died in my high school. And one, like the day before our senior year, this kid killed herself. And we were sad, but none of us went to the funeral. It wasn't talked about. It was talked amongst ourselves at school, but the school didn't address it. It was just, sweep it under the rug and don't talk about it. But then as a mom in Malibu, I've been to a few funerals. It's nutty.
Yeah. Because for me, I just the first funeral I went to was my mom's, so that throws a whole very odd situation.
My dad, I forgot about that, but yeah.
But nobody talked about how I just assumed that I was supposed to be sad the whole time, and then I found myself that I laughed at a TV show, and then I felt bad that I was not sad all the time. And then my dad didn't know, he was 37 or so, and he didn't know what to do. First of all, he's now got to be both parents, but now he has an 8-year-old that is missing his mom, I was a mama's boy. That was my life, but nobody helped him. And so nobody was talking about it in our circle. So none of us knew what to do. And it's really hard to find a way to walk in that time period. I think now, and I hope now, more people are talking out loud about feelings, about grief, about mental health, about dying by suicide, like the person in your school. These things happen. And if we talk about it more, we can normalize the fact that they happen, and we can learn from each other of okay, maybe your path is not going to be exactly like mine, but maybe you tried something that I might want to try, but I didn't know about it until you started talking about it. And so that's why I'm almost jealous of people that have these big sad, it's stupid to say, but these big sad grief moments now, because there's so many tools available, and some of us had to just stumble.
If this girl had done this today in 2025, the school would be offering counseling, and there would just be so many more resources. And I mean, that's a good thing about humans is we evolve
Yeah.
better.
So you've evolved. You're enjoying life more now. Not more. This is the wrong way to say that.
I
Are
mean, I
you?
still have my days for sure, you
And
know,
as you should. He was your son.
but yeah,
Are there more good days than bad days these
100%.
days? How long
Well,
ago was this?
I mean, we just had the 10-year anniversary, but I think, everyone who loses someone, I mean, the first year you're kind of in this bubble. And what I found that not only was true for me, but true for a lot of my friends was year 2 is harder because I think the first year we're in shock and just kind of disbelief, and you go through all the scenarios. I mean, I would tell myself daily, he didn't really die. He has joined the CIA, because Johnny has some wild plans, and he'll come back. I mean, I would tell myself that. And part of me knew that's not true, but I lived for that. Like that is what actually happened. And that was my story. And then year 2 comes and it's like, oh, no, he's really not coming back. Like this is true. Now you have to figure out, how do I move forward?
Do you feel a pressure to honor him in what you do?
No,
Okay.
I don't feel any pressure at all in honoring him. I love to honor him. Even now, and I just did Whitney on the 10-year anniversary, I had some of his ashes with me and I was going to throw him off the summit. And I was having a really hard time. Like, do I want to let these go? I want to get it. And right then a jet, like so loud. And it was funny because I couldn't see it, but I could hear it. And I just started laughing because Johnny gave me a little jet on one of my races and he said his name on it. And I had the jet with me and I started laughing and I just threw the ashes. I'm like, okay, Johnny, like just great, a great funny sign. So I don't feel pressured at all to honor him. I live to honor him and I love honoring him.
Right. I think that's a beautiful way of approaching it. I think that there are others that get stuck in feeling like they have to do it, right? You don't, but society did not teach us that. You are far wiser than your years.
Don't care what society has to say. I mean, I really don't.
Did you always feel that way?
No, but I'm almost 60 and the older you get, the less fucks you have to give. No, I mean, and especially with all this social media, I mean, there's just so much pounded on every single person every single day of you should do this, you should do that. And who can keep up with all of that? I mean, I think you should go to bed at night grateful for the day you had, and hopefully you did your best in whatever you pursued, and wake up like ready to face the next day. And, and it doesn't matter what anybody anywhere has to say about it. It's you in yourself. How do you feel? And that's what matters.
I mean, it's a beautiful way, and it sounds like you're doing it. You're creating more experiences, like you said, more memories, going places, and you're no stopping, right? Until you can't.
I mean, at some point, all of these physical activities, mainly the adventure racing, I think is what has destroyed my back, and the running the most. But yeah, as long as I can keep walking and climbing and doing all this stuff, I don't see a reason to stop. I mean, there's still some big mountains I want to climb and some ultras I'd like to run, and we'll see.
And you do it. I mean, I love that for you. I hate the tragedy and the things that you have faced, but I love that you found something that feels so right for you and your body and how you move through the world, and something to look forward to and to plan for. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people are on the conveyor belt of life, and we just do what we think we're supposed to do versus really sitting with ourselves and determining what we want to do. So I commend you for setting the example for the people around you as well.
Thanks. I mean, I think we're here on this planet to experience joy. And if you're not getting joy out of your day, I don't know, maybe one of Johnny's friends put it to me this way. He said, what's the one thing you do every day that brings you extreme joy? And for me, it was walking my dogs on a single track trail. And that was why I ended up moving to Park City. That was the main reason, besides wanting to train. But, if you can string those little moments of happiness, whatever it is, whether you're knitting or it's doing a puzzle or riding your bike, whatever it is, if you can string more of those little joyous moments together, your day gets better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you focus, and then you find yourself focusing on the good versus on the bad or what could go wrong. It's more like what could go right? Like, what could I learn from this? What could I enjoy from this? Whatever it may be. And it sounds like that's where you're kind of living.
I'm trying. It's still some days are just like, oh God, what is this?
Because you're a human. You can't.
Yeah. And I just, what? I call it a Netflix day.
I love it.
Netflix days are okay.
Yeah.
And thank God for Netflix.
Yeah. I love to ask the same question to people, but I want to ask you if like this version of yourself could talk to the Dianette that was before you had gone on that first hike with your girlfriends. Was there anything you would want to tell her about what's going to come or any advice you would give her?
Don't take any shit from anyone. Stand up for yourself. I say stand up for yourself at a much earlier age.
Yeah. That would be good advice for a lot of people.
That was my mom's advice. I didn't take it. I should have.
Well, we never take our parents' advice until we learn it for ourselves.
Yeah, that's so true.
Or we hear someone else's parents say it and then we're like, oh.
I know, yeah.
And then we bring it home.
Parents are so much smarter than our own.
Yes. We're just, we're a weird bunch, these humans it's interesting how many people live seemingly the same life, but they're so different. And the feelings that we have around certain things are very similar. It's just like so odd that we are all so different, but exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean,
in a collection.
Funny bunch. And, you can be at a bus stop and everyone around you, you just, you think you know someone or you can guess what their life is. But everyone you meet has the craziest, most wild stories. And if we just took a moment to, and I'm not good at that. I'm really bad at just starting a conversation with strangers. I have friends who are so good at it and I'm always in awe of it. But everybody really does have quite an amazing story that just blows me away.
Yeah. And to your earlier point, if we give people more grace about the fact that we don't know what's going on in their lives, and we start with kindness and good intent, I think we'll get a lot further. I'm the friend that everyone yells at because I talk too much to the Uber drivers, or I'm one of those because they must be. I mean, maybe they're having a terrible day, and maybe just a conversation with them can make them feel better. And it's important to me.
Those people usually have some of the best stories. They are people I will talk to and not be uncomfortable about it. I've met an Afghanistan interpreter who worked for the U.S.
Oh, wow.
interpreting for our troops.
Right.
And then he was driving a cab in D.C. and it was like, this
Talk
guy's
about a
really
life shift.
Cool. Yeah. It was amazing. Uber drivers are they're pretty fun.
They can be. Yeah. If someone was listening to your story today and some part of it resonated with them, or something you said triggered a memory, and they want to reach out to you or learn more about you or just tell you their story, like what's the best way to find you, find what you're offering to the world, learn more about you? Like, tell me more.
I have a website, DianetteWells.com, and they can buy my book, Another Step Up the Mountain, from the website. Exciting for 2026. I have a new publisher. So onward and upward with that. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Is it a new book or just a new publisher for the same book?
New publisher. Yeah. So a really cool publishing company, Flint Hills Publishing. And this is the first time I'm announcing that anywhere. So yeah, but you can still buy the old version off my website. If you want to watch a movie about my son, it is on Peacock called American Daredevil. And on Tubi, it's called Born to Fly, Johnny Strange. And yeah, they can reach out to me. My email's on my website, dianettewells@aol.com, which
Very, very Gen X of you.
Thank you. I'm not giving up that AOL account.
I have my Hotmail. Don't worry.
I'm on Gmail and I can't even figure it out. So I don't. No, I just AOL. Until the day I die, I will be AOL.
I love it. No, I think I'm glad that you're open to that, because I think there's so much power in telling our story. And I know there's so many people that just hold it in and they don't say it out loud, or they don't write it, or whatever it may be. And so I encourage people listening that if you triggered something good or bad in them that like makes them want to share their story, to like reach out to the person and just say, hey, when you said this, really reminded me of this. So anyone listening, or reach out to me, either one, telling your story is so powerful. And I think that you'll realize that power once you get it out. So,
and it's also could be really cathartic. On paper.
Yep. Writing it, saying it. For me, I think that things in my head are so much messier and scarier and seem insurmountable. And then I say it out loud or I write it down. I'm like, it's not so bad. Like I can figure this out. And so, or everything starts to make sense. It's like a big mess. And then it just stacks of paper, once I say it out loud, and it feels more aligned. So I really appreciate you allowing me to ask you the questions that come from my own tortured, traumatized child brain that has turned into this 40-something-year-old man who tries to be really in touch with feelings and want to know people's stories. So thank you for just allowing that.
Well, thank you for having me. And again, I'm so sorry about your mom, but you've turned out really well. So kudos to your dad.
Yeah, we'll give kudos where kudos are due. I will pass that along, and thank you all for listening, because that 8-year-old felt so alone, and just by you all listening to these stories and listening to these conversations, I hope they inspire you to talk to someone new, learn their story, figure out how we can connect to each other more, especially in these days when everyone feels a little bit more divided. So with that, I'm going to say thank you once again, and I will be back next week with a brand new episode. Thanks again, Dianette. Thank you for listening to the Life Shift podcast. If you want to learn more, go to www.thelifeshiftpodcast.com. There you can check out all the different episodes. You can check out the blog, some of the reviews for the podcast, and the Life Shift journal. Links are there, so you can purchase your own copy, whether in digital or print format. Thanks again.